Hello everyone, Mark91 here with the second video of my Dungeons & Dragons basic game journal. This video will cover the technical and just the mechanics of the game and what each encounter was supposed to teach. So it's. I think it would be a bit best. It would be best to watch the first video first to know what happened during it, and then that would be a lot more interesting. Probably this is just me explaining about what well about how the games work and how the games works and the encounters work. What's going on and such. Okay, so the first encounter was just plain combat and interaction with objects. Sorry. Okay, first off let me start with the statistics on the starting character sheets. These are copies, color copies, backups in case we accidentally wrote on the back of the books with pen. So that's why we got these. I used it as a bit of a notepad to keep hold of experience, health and such. Okay, but back to about you can see that doesn't really work. I think you've got initiative here, which is the order in which people start. There are for the basic game there are 5 initiative counts. You've got the 4 characters: the Docile, the Dwarf Cleric, Karn, the Human Rogue, Red Kadar, the Human Fighter, and Lanin, the Elf Wizard. Those are the first to act, and then the monsters go. First off is the Rogue, then the Wizard, then the Fighter, then the Cleric. So they act in that order. Then the monsters get a turn. Doesn't really matter which monsters goes first. They just have to have 1 turn each. Underneath initiative is speed. That's how many squares they can walk. So, for example, this doesn't need any explanation, does it? One thing, I believe you can walk past other adventurers, and when you're playing as one of the adventurers, you can walk past one of your fellow adventurers, but you can't stop on the same square. With monsters, it's the same. You can walk straight past other monsters. With that, I mean over the same square, but you can't stop on it. Then there is attack, which is for attack rolls. With that, you roll the 20-sided dice. This little baby over here. You roll that, add or subtract any bonuses or penalties depending on the situation. If that roll is higher than the target's armor class, the attack hits, which is when you roll for damage, which differs per character and per weapon. Because some characters have ranged attacks and melee attacks. The rogue starts out with it. Armor class is next. That's how high that's your defense. If you're under attack, the attacker needs to roll the d20, add or subtract. If it's equal or higher than the armor class, the attack hits. If it's lower, it misses. So you don't roll for damage. Underneath that is the hit points, as of course your health. You start out at a certain amount, and if it goes to 0, you're dead. The game doesn't really explain what happens if if one of the players dies. So we're just going for they just get knocked unconscious and are out for the encounter. If it is described somewhere, I've missed it. Okay, next up are the saving throws. Well, now that I'll just describe what is basic for this first encounter. Saving throws only come in the second encounter. That's when they appear. Skill checks. I can get to that because those were used. In the room with the goblins that they entered, first there was a pair of double doors leading to the room. They could have listened at the door to hear if anything's behind it that could have avoided a sneak attack on them. Yeah, that might have been on the background. My father playing a game with music from it. Yeah, there were doors. They could have listened at it. They could have They could have searched it to see if there's anything wrong with it, any switches and such. Not the case. Or they could have just plain opened it and just got through. It wasn't locked. And there was also a chest in there, which they could search. First time you search a chest, you see if there's anything wrong with it. You can attempt to find out if it's trapped or locked. If you fail the search chest on the search roll on a chest, it says something. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. If it's high enough, it'll reveal whether the chest is locked, trapped, or if it's nothing with it at all. Only the rogue can search for if something is trapped and somebody searches it, it'll immediately go off unless it is the rogue. If they failed it, if someone searches a trapped something, the trap will go off if the search roll is failed. If it succeeded, it'll still go off unless it was by the rogue. If he searches it and he succeeds, the trap doesn't go off. He can disarm it with a disable device roll. Okay, that's done. So yeah, they got that done, and that's the mechanics. And that's the mechanics for this first encounter. The second encounter started out almost the same combat, with some chests around. They could have searched. The one was locked. The rogue rolled for open lock, got it, and then they rolled to search it, and they found nothing. Okay, then they got to another set of double doors after that, and some more chests. There were 3 in total in the first room, 2 more in the second room, which they were going into. Yeah, they got to the double doors, but they were locked. So the rogue attempted to roll for open lock. It didn't work, so they had to bash it. To bash a door, to bash in a door, you have to have someone who is mainly attacking the door, and then you can have up to 2 people helping to break the door. I advise the helpers roll first. They have to roll 15 or higher. If they succeed their roll, they will give a +2 bonus to the main attacker, or main bash, or whatever, the main character who is attacking the door, or bashing the door. And if then the main character rolls, and he has to get 20 in total. So for example, if I roll 13 like it says now, and I would get help, the other 2 would have succeeded in their rolls, the door still wouldn't have opened. They rolled that for a couple of times, and then they got a clean 20 on the main basher, door opened. Okay, now it gets to a part where saving throws are involved, because the moment they step into that room, a spell comes into effect. A charm spell, which is a mental attack. So they had to roll saving throws for their will. They had to roll will saving throws to see if they were affected or not. 2 failed. The fighter and cleric failed. The rest resisted it. What the spell does is told in the first video. This is about mechanics mostly. So yeah. Then they got into the room a bit further. The charm spell would cause them to go towards the enemy, which was over here. That I'll just keep to it. Here is that very room. They were entering through here, and they would have to go over here through one of these 2 passageways, over the rocks, which is an obstacle, or through the water, which is a hazard. Obstacles, as far as I know, and as far as this game goes, are hindrances. They slow you down, they prevent you from moving and such. They're harmless, but they still get in your way. Hazards, they are dangerous. They will hurt you. When someone would enter the water, they would have to make another saving throw, this time for fortitude, to see if they could resist the sheer cold water. Just how cold the water is. So, yeah. And that for if the roll is failed, they take damage for every square passed through. So if someone were to every time they were in the water or go through the water would fail their rolls, they could get up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if they were to get 6 damage just from passing through. And just to get a bit of a show, the character with the most health here, the human fighter Redgar, he has 12 hit points. So yeah, that can be very dangerous in this. It's all first level, of course. Yeah, so they got to the enemy at the other side, a harpy, because of that charm spell. They found there were also 2 chests up there, as I said. One was trapped, one was just open. They opened the normal chest, found a healing potion, I believe, and they got the trapped chest. But the rogue searched it, but he failed his search roll. But he failed the search, so the trap went off. But he succeeded in his reflex saving throw. So he didn't get hurt. He dodged it all. An electrical burst. And I think that's it for the mechanics of the first and second encounter. And the basics. So yeah, I'll give a bit of a hint to the second encounter, the third encounter. I've already read it. I'm making this to give a bit of a preview of what's going to happen, what I'm going to talk about in the next 2 videos, and to give a bit of a hint to the other players, the adventurers, if they watch this video. My younger brother will probably watch it, and then he'll probably tell the other ones. So here's the hint. The next encounter might be as long. There is combat, but you'll have to think more. You can't just win on it through combat. I think that's fitting enough. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope it was informative. It was enjoyable. See you next time when after the second session, which will be tonight, most likely, unless there's something gets in the way. Probably not. So tonight will be the second session. So after that I'll record more videos, and then we'll see how far we get. So thank you for watching. Hope it was. I've already said that. Have a nice day and goodbye.